कोविड-19 महामारी ने तकरीबन हर एक मनुख ਨੂੰ बुरी तरह प्रभावित किया है। तकरीबन 1.5 साल तो इस अलामत नाल दुनिया लड़ रही है, जिस कारण सरकारां ਵੱਲੋਂ जो पाबंदियां ਲਾਈਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ ਉਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਸਕੂਲੀ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਹਨ। ਮਾਹਿਰਾਂ ਮੁਤਾਬਕ ਵਿਦਿਆਰਥੀ ਦਿਮਾਗੀ ਤੌਰ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਕਾਫੀ ਚਿੰਤਤ ਹਨ।
I've been able to meet with friends. I've had to stay inside all the time, and I haven't really had motivation to do anything since.
Over the past year, 70% of kids have reported that they have experienced poor mental health or worsening of their mental health. There's been a 100% increase in kids being admitted to children's hospitals for suicide attempt admissions, and a 200% increase in children being admitted for substance use disorders.
Many children are experiencing language delays as a result of their inability to interact with their friends, to go outdoors, to play, to do all of the things that are essential for a healthy childhood.
Pretty severely. I haven't gone to school in a really long time.
Do you miss life pre-pandemic?
I think about going out to restaurants and stuff, hanging out with my friends. Yeah, I just really want to be with my friends again.
We know through the research that outdoor play is so valuable for kids. We're also really concerned because a lot of the children in the city have basically not left their apartments since COVID started. So we really need to encourage children to go outdoors.
We want to see our leaders taking this seriously, to treat this as the crisis that it is, and to come urgently to the table to meet with experts, to hear directly from kids themselves, and to formulate an emergency plan of action to provide support for kids in the days, weeks and months ahead of us.
ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਦੇ ਮੇਅਰ ਜੋਨ ਟੋਰੀ ਨੇ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਸਿਟੀ ਹਾਲ ਵਿਖੇ ਪੌਪ-ਅਪ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਕਲੀਨਿਕ ਦਾ ਦੌਰਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਇਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਸਿਟੀ ਆਫ ਟੋਰਾਂਟੋ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਅਤੇ ਵੱਧ ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਸ਼ਹਿਰ ਵਾਸੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਲਈ ਉਤਸ਼ਾਹਿਤ ਕੀਤਾ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੱਸਿਆ ਕਿ ਹੌਟਸਪੌਟ ਖੇਤਰਾਂ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਲਈ 19,000 ਤੋਂ ਵੱਧ ਨਿਯੁਕਤੀਆਂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਜਾ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹਨ।
Well, good morning. We're here at Toronto City Hall this morning, and I'm joined by Dr. Kevin Smith, the CEO of the UHN, which is one of our most distinguished among many healthcare organizations that has hospital brand names well known to you, Toronto General, Toronto Western, Mount Sinai, and with Councillor Joe Cressy, the chair of the Board of Health. And Dr. Smith represents a team of people who are here in the City Hall today that are drawn from the community and drawn from all parts of the healthcare system to operate a vaccine clinic. I think it probably would be the first of its kind here in the rotunda of City Hall. And it was his idea, I'll give him credit for that, and I immediately embraced it because I think there is nothing more symbolic and substantive than to have in the place that people are so familiar with in our city, the place where they can come, and they do come for celebrations and for vigils and for protests, that they can come here and get vaccinated. And we are, of course, urging people over the course of the day, starting about now, to come here. The province, Premier Ford and others have lowered the age of eligibility to 12 plus for those who wish to get vaccinated, so that we're encouraging families to come here as part of the cause that we're all engaged in, which is to get people to get vaccinated so that we can keep people healthy, most of all, but also so that we can reach those threshold levels put in place by the province to allow the city to open again. As of this morning, there are already thousands of people who have taken advantage of the change in the eligibility rules. And also, over the course of the weekend, I'm very heartened to say, because I started on Friday saying that we had 14,000 unbooked appointments in our city clinics, and that number has dropped down to now less than 5,000. But what that says is that there are still opportunities between now, Sunday and Monday, to book an appointment by going online at toronto.ca or using the phone number that I can't remember in my head, so I don't want to recite it. But it's important. It's important to the well-being of yourself and your co-workers and your family and your neighbors that you should get vaccinated. We're making such incredible progress as a city, and now we just have to keep the momentum going, even on a holiday weekend. And frankly, all these rules that are in place have limited the number of things that you can do, although there was some good news with outdoor activities this weekend. But if you need something to do, this is a really great thing to do for yourself, or take someone else who hasn't had a chance to go as yet and maybe just needs a little bit of encouragement. So I thank the people of Toronto for what has been a magnificent team effort we've all made so far, community health organizations, all kinds of people, and let's get on with making sure we have a big finish up to the holiday weekend where people come out in huge numbers to get vaccinated. And so on that, I will answer some questions, and I'll see if also my two colleagues here want to say a word as well.
Mayor, talk about the symbolic nature of this. I don't think anyone's been inside City Hall since this pandemic began, and now we're going to get people vaccinated here. You touched on it briefly. This is a place that's the beacon of civic duty here in our city. People come here to celebrate, they come here to grieve, and now they're going to come and get their first jab.
You know, it's interesting that most people may have been to Nathan Phillips Square for some fireworks or for a vigil or something like that, but many people have never been inside this building. And it is, I think, very important that people should know that we thought it important enough to open a building that has been closed during the pandemic for health-related reasons, but we wanted people to come inside. We wanted them to feel comfortable, to feel welcome, and to make sure this public space, the ultimate public space in our city, was being put to good use of the UHN and the other community organizations that are putting on this clinic today. And I should say that just to make it even more inviting, there's music.
ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਡਿਪਟੀ ਮੈਡੀਕਲ ਅਧਿਕਾਰੀ ਡਾਕਟਰ ਹੌਵਰਡ ਨਜ਼ੂ ਨੇ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਪ੍ਰਬੰਧਨ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਵੈਕਸੀਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਵੱਡਾ ਪੱਖ ਉਜਾਗਰ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ। ਡਾਕਟਰ ਨਜ਼ੂ ਦਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਵਿੱਚ ਅੰਤਰਰਾਸ਼ਟਰੀ ਬਾਰਡਰ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹਣ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਮੁਲਕ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਨੂੰ ਮੈਨੇਜ ਕਰਨਾ ਅਤੇ ਨਾਗਰਿਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਦੇਣਾ ਬੇਹੱਦ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਹੈ।
Well, first of all, I would say that we all recognize that Canada is a big country, and so it's difficult to put out guidance at the federal level that really applies to the whole of the country, because one region can certainly vary compared to another region. Having said that, in terms of the I would say aspirational goals that we put forward in terms of vaccination coverage, certainly we relied on our modeling experts. Lots of assumptions in there. If you saw our presentation a few weeks ago in terms of looking at different metrics, but at the end of the day, I think we're good. At least it's something that Canadians, I think, can relate to in terms of a target to shoot for the 1 dose and then 2 doses. And as we've always said, and I think that's what's playing out with the provinces and territories as well, is the fact that it's not just about the vaccine coverage alone. We want to vaccinate as many Canadians as soon as possible, with 1 dose and then 2 doses. But in terms of opening up and, loosening of restrictions, public health measures, that also depends on the local situation, the epidemiology, what's happening with community transmission, what's happening with the healthcare system. Is it being overloaded or not? So, those are all the factors in play that well, I would say yes, we don't really know a precise number in terms of herd immunity, but certainly based on the evidence we have to date, the experience from other countries, including ourselves with our vaccine rollout, where we're anticipating that the herd immunity as far as vaccination and vaccination coverage, that would be good to shoot for. We recognize in Canada that overall, compared to other countries, we actually have quite a large percentage of the population that is still susceptible. If you look at other countries that unfortunately had a tougher time earlier, they may actually have a greater percentage of the population that has, quote, natural immunity based on having actually had COVID-19. So in Canada, I think it's much more important to actually improve or increase our vaccination coverage so that we do get that herd immunity. Well, I think we're well on track. As we all see, millions more of doses are coming to the country every day. And certainly, I think, in terms of being, I think, fairly conservative, we would say that we would be able to offer all eligible Canadians their 2nd dose by the end of September. But you can see various provinces are already going out. And if it actually happens more at sort of towards the end of the summer, even early part of September, hey, that's great. So it's something I think that we'll have to wait and see, because, I think in Canada, I think we're lucky. I think Canadians understand, respect the science, and want to get vaccinated. And so I see that there's a greater sort of motivation to get both doses here in Canada compared to maybe other countries where I think they've had trouble getting people to go for their 2nd dose after receiving their 1st dose. Oh, definitely. Certainly, when the recommendation came forward from our National Advisory Committee on Immunization, or NACI, they said that the dose interval could be extended up to, quote, the 16 weeks, but it certainly didn't have to be the case. And I'm already seeing it in different provinces. People who got appointments, initially for their 2nd dose, 4 months later, they're getting call back saying, hey, we've moved your appointment up because now we've got more doses in stock and so on. So I think, yes, across the country,
ਮੈਨੀਟੋਬਾ ਦੇ ਪ੍ਰੀਮੀਅਰ ਬ੍ਰਾਇਨ ਪੈਲਸਟਰ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਅੰਦਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਰੋਲ-ਆਊਟ ਪ੍ਰਕਿਰਿਆ ਬਾਰੇ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਹੈ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਅਮਰੀਕਾ ਦੇ ਰਾਸ਼ਟਰਪਤੀ ਜੋ ਬਾਈਡਨ ਨੂੰ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਲਈ ਹੋਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਭੇਜਣ ਚਾਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਹਨ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਇਹ ਅਪੀਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ। ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਅੰਦਰ ਕੋਰੋਨਾ ਵਾਇਰਸ ਦੀ ਸਥਿਤੀ ਨਾਲ ਨਜਿੱਠਣ ਲਈ ਹੋਰ ਜਨਤਕ ਪਾਬੰਦੀਆਂ ਲਾਗੂ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਹਨ।
Like all border states and provinces, Manitoba and North Dakota have really strong ties. After all, 90% of Canadians live within a short distance of the border with the United States, and now that we're in a pandemic, that border should not be used to keep the cure for COVID out, but it is. About a month ago, North Dakota Governor Doug Burgum and I reached an agreement to have Manitoba truckers vaccinated in North Dakota. It was a good first step. We've now got over 1,000 truckers that have been vaccinated as a result. More to come. We led the way. Other provinces and states have followed suit as well. That's good news. Saskatchewan's working with North Dakota. Alberta's working with Montana, Ontario with Michigan, so on and so forth. But the best solution is not to have Canadians going across the border in small numbers for vaccines. The best solution is to have vaccines coming up from the United States in large numbers. The United States has millions of vaccines in freezers. They need to be in arms here in Canada. This is a call to arms. Manitoba is currently the North American hotspot. Our vaccine team has assured me that they could vaccinate an additional 100,000 Manitobans in the next 10 days if we had the vaccines here. We have trucks with freezers ready to go to points in the United States within a few hours to pick up those vaccines. We could have them back by tonight. We could be vaccinating additional Manitobans tomorrow. The best way to beat back the third wave is vaccines. Vaccines are the key. Thus far, President Biden has said no. I say, let's go, Joe. The right answer is yes. We need your help. And we need it now. Every premier, every governor along that border wants to restore our social and economic partnership, and they want to do it pronto. To do that, we have to defeat COVID. And we have to do it together. Canada and the United States have the world's longest and strongest partnership, not just economically, but socially as well. And that relationship has served to strengthen not only us, but the world. And that relationship matters.
ਪ੍ਰਧਾਨ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਜਸਟਿਨ ਟਰੂਡੋ ਨੂੰ ਉਸ ਵਿਵਹਾਰ ਲਈ ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਤੋਂ ਮੁਆਫੀ ਮੰਗਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਦੂਜੇ ਵਿਸ਼ਵ ਯੁੱਧ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ। ਅਜਿਹਾ ਕਹਿਣਾ ਇਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਪ੍ਰਭਾਵਿਤ ਹੋਏ ਇਟਾਲੀਅਨ ਮੂਲ ਦੇ ਕੈਨੇਡੀਅਨਸ ਦਾ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਇਸ ਦੌਰਾਨ ਆਪਣੀ ਕਹਾਣੀ ਵੀ ਬਿਆਨ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੇ ਨਿਆਂ ਮੰਤਰੀ ਡੇਵਿਡ ਲਮੇਟੀ ਤੱਕ ਵੀ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਮੰਗ ਪਹੁੰਚੀ ਹੈ।
Look at the expressions or the individuals. Yeah. See, that's one of his strengths over here. When Guido saw that they wanted to put Mussolini in it, he completely said no. The wardens, let's say, pushed him. Look, if you don't do it, we'll tear up the contract.
He wouldn't get paid.
Yeah, that's it. You had it, okay? So he was forced to do it.
I look at it from the perspective of a Minister of Justice, and I, as the first Italian-Canadian Minister of Justice, and I'm proud and a bit overwhelmed emotionally.
They were interned because the government had some evidence. Now, how serious this evidence was is an issue to be determined, but had evidence that these people had links with the Italian fascist party.
When I look at it, this, oh, you're a fascist, and he was not a fascist whatsoever.
ਨੈਸ਼ਨਲ ਐਡਵਾਈਜ਼ਰੀ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਔਨ ਇਮੂਨਾਈਜੇਸ਼ਨ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਕੋਵਿਡ-19 ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਦੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਡੋਜ਼ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜਾਰੀ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਨਵੇਂ ਦਿਸ਼ਾ ਨਿਰਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਤਹਿਤ ਇਹ ਸਿਫਾਰਿਸ਼ ਕੀਤੀ ਗਈ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਦੂਜੇ ਰਾਊਂਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਸੰਬੰਧਿਤ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲੇ ਰਾਊਂਡ ਵਿੱਚ ਲਾਏ ਗਏ ਟੀਕੇ ਦੀ ਹੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਡੋਜ਼ ਲਾਈ ਜਾਵੇ। NACI ਨੇ ਇਹ ਵੀ ਆਖਿਆ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਜੇ ਕਿਸੇ ਵਿਅਕਤੀ ਨੂੰ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਲਾਏ ਗਏ ਟੀਕੇ ਵਾਲੀ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਦੀ ਦੂਜੀ ਡੋਜ਼ ਉਪਲਬਧ ਨਹੀਂ ਆ ਤਾਂ ਆਕਸਫੋਰਡ ਐਸਟਰਾਜੈਨੇਕਾ ਦੀ ਥਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਜੌਨਸਨ ਐਂਡ ਜੌਨਸਨ ਅਤੇ ਫਾਈਜ਼ਰ ਬਾਇਓਟੈਕ ਦੀ ਥਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਮੋਡਰਨਾ ਲਵਾਈ ਜਾ ਸਕਦੀ ਹੈ। ਦੋਵੇਂ mRNA ਵੈਕਸੀਨਸ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਜਦੋਂ ਵਾਇਰਲ ਫੈਕਟਰ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਐਸਟਰਾਜੈਨੇਕਾ ਤੇ ਜੌਨਸਨ ਐਂਡ ਜੌਨਸਨ ਦੀ ਗੱਲ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਮਾਮਲਾ ਥੋੜਾ ਵਿਵਾਦਗ੍ਰਸਤ ਹੈ। ਜੌਨਸਨ ਐਂਡ ਜੌਨਸਨ ਦੀ 3 ਲੱਖ ਡੋਜ਼ਾਂ ਦੀ ਪਹਿਲੀ ਖੇਪ ਦੀ ਵੰਡ ਉੱਤੇ ਅਜੇ ਵੀ ਰੋਕ ਜਾਰੀ ਹੈ। ਹੈਲਥ ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਜਾਣਕਾਰੀ ਮਿਲਣ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਇਹ ਵੈਕਸੀਨ ਦੀ ਵੰਡ ਉੱਤੇ ਰੋਕ ਲਾ ਦਿੱਤੀ ਗਈ ਸੀ ਕਿ ਇਸ ਬੈਚ ਦੇ ਕੁਝ ਹਿੱਸੇ ਮੈਰੀਲੈਂਡ ਫੈਸਿਲਿਟੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਤਿਆਰ ਕੀਤੇ ਗਏ ਹਨ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਕੁਆਲਿਟੀ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਦੀ ਸਮੱਸਿਆ ਹੈ।